everybody, and welcome to the third of 10 webinars on how to market your language program. I'll just go ahead and start my webcam here so you can see me. Say hello. There we go. There's me. Hi everybody, welcome to the program. And this webinar is one of, as I said, 10. It's based on the book ideas that I had from 101 Ways to Market Your Language Program. Instead of reading the book, you can come and join in on the free webinars. So welcome to everybody who's been here before. Hi, welcome. Welcome to Corey. I saw that you just joined us. And I see some familiar names and some new names. As always, I'd like to invite you to type in the chat box. Let us know what kind of program you're working in. Are you in a literacy program, a second language program, or a foreign language program, international languages program, and where are you joining us from today? That's kind of the stuff that helps me shape the program so that I know a little bit how to tailor it for you. Glad to have you here with us today. As with last time, the program's being recorded, just so you know, and the recordings are publicly posted. Other people will come and watch them afterwards. I always get a few emails from people saying, hey, I couldn't make your program, but I picked up the recording, and they'll send a few questions or leave a comment for me on the blog. Great. Great. Carla's joining us from Ohio. Super. Frida from a language school. Cynthia's joining us from Tabor, Alberta. Super. And Pam also from the United States. Fantastic. And Corey's joining us from Spruce Grove. That's fantastic. I like Spruce Grove. I've spent some time with some family friends up there and really like it. Great, super. So it looks like we've got Canada and the United States represented here today. Last week we had London, and I think we had Israel. So if we've got other countries here today, I'm always curious to know about that. So this is a 10-week program that I'm doing, all on different aspects of marketing. And of course, as we know, marketing can be an entire degree, an undergraduate degree, or a graduate degree. We've got Jacqueline Drew here, and Jacqueline is a full-time marketing strategist. So big shout out to her and her team in Calgary. They do great work helping companies plan for marketing. So I don't want to super, okay, also from Israel, super. I don't want to say that these webinars in any way represent, a full set of knowledge around what you can know or should know about marketing. They're just kind of like little snapshots and little tidbits with the idea of kind of raising the bar for those in leadership positions and literacy and language programs. Because if you're anything like me, when I started out managing an ESL program, I had no background in business, no background in marketing or student recruitment or student retention, didn't know where the lines between marketing ended and student recruitment began, and how those integrated with other we call them administration processes, right? But they're very much similar to business processes. So today we could just kind of get little snapshots of things I've learned along the way, sharing stuff with you that I've learned. And I also love it when you can share what you know. So if I mention something, you're like, hey, I tried this, or I've got this idea, feel free to throw it in the chat box. I really believe that as leaders in the field, which I'm pretty sure if you're here, then you're either a manager, director, or recruiter, that we can all sort of raise that bar, as Michael Fullen says. Michael Fullen's an educational leadership guru from Canada, and he says that leaders learning from each other raises the bar for everyone. I'm a big believer in that. Super. Okay, I'm just reading over Joe's little paragraph here. Great, okay. Yeah, okay, so Joe, program number 10, just so you know, is all about social media. So last week we talked a little bit about setting goals, setting SMART goals, so they're specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and they have a timeline attached to them, how to kind of identify your target markets. We did budgets really quickly, and the week before that we talked a little bit about setting a marketing strategy and a plan. Today we talk a little bit about focusing on writing marketing materials. Next week, we are going to dive into some of the written communications pieces around marketing that includes your business cards, your letters, your signs, email, that sort of thing. And next week, I'll share with you, for those of you who are in North America, a couple of the suppliers that I like to use where you can get some products for not very much money. Don't worry, I don't get a kickback from them. I just think that they do good work. And in number 5, we kind of talk about what makes people care about you as a program. Week number 6, that one's specifically dedicated to universities and programs at schools, in large school boards, and programs that kind of have to work within a larger framework of an institution because they experience some special kind of marketing challenges, having to negotiate sort of institutional politics and that sort of thing. Week number 7 is all about the power of connection with your target market, your learners, and the people who are paying the bill. And number 8, we talk about sort of the emotional side of marketing and what does that mean and how can you incorporate that realistically into your marketing materials. Number 9, the often forgot about follow-up, what that means for you and how to integrate it into an overall sort of marketing strategy. I found in my work with literacy programs and language programs that the follow-up piece is often left out, so it's not always integrated into the overall strategy or plan. And number 10 is social media. Social media, as I'll say, was not covered in this book. This came out, second edition came out in 2005, so Facebook wasn't even really around very much. I don't know if Twitter was around. I think Twitter came out in 2006 or 2007. So social media is not really covered in the book, so we'll talk about it in session number 10. This week is all about writing marketing materials. And we'll go over some really simple, easy tips and tricks. If you happen to have a brochure for your program handy or something that you use as a marketing piece, you might want to have it handy so you can compare it to kind of what we're going through today. Look at it and say, huh, yeah, we did that right, or, oh, okay, we've got stuff to learn. The marketing webinars, so they're just 20 to 30 minutes, they're real quick little deals. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing copy, talk about the difference between features and benefits, and give you some very, very simple strategies that you can start implementing in the next time you produce marketing materials. Okay. Sound good? Let me just ask you now, how many of you are here today are the ones who are in charge of producing your marketing materials for your organization? Jacqueline asked a question. She said, could I see you if she wanted us to? Right now, Jacqueline, my camera is the only one that's enabled. I haven't enabled participant cameras. There's just a possibility for one up there. There's other webinar services that can allow for more than one presenter, but I just keep this one on for now. Okay. Super. Okay. Great. Pam, Frida, yes. Cynthia, yes. Corey, yes. Perfect. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, that gives me an idea that we're talking to the right people today. Fantastic. When you're starting to write your marketing materials, the one question that you want to think about is, if you were the learner, the student, or the client, regardless of what language you use, put yourself in their position and ask yourself this question: what's in it for me? That's the one question that everybody will want to know when they're going through your website or your brochures. They ultimately want to know, basically what's there for them, and does what you offer match with what they need? Okay, so that's the number one question. It's often shortened up in marketing or in business as the WIIFM question: what's in it for me? And if you can actually do a personal audit or do an audit yourself on the marketing materials that you have, and if you can't answer that question in your marketing materials, then you want to think about revamping them. That's kind of the key question, and that's what it all centers around. Interestingly, for people who work in literacy programs, are very familiar with the concept of plain language, and many literacy practitioners, I think I could speak properly, will understand the concepts behind plain language. Things like using 3 syllables or less for words, right? Using shorter, smaller words, using simple words. And take those same practices that you know about for plain language and put them into your marketing. So, for example, the words like institutional, there's 5 syllables there. If you have a word that long in your marketing materials, can you find a better word that's simple and straightforward? For those of you who work on PCs, if you work in Word, at least there was at one point, the ability to get they were called readability statistics, and it was under Tools, possibly spelling and grammar, and then from there you could get your readability statistics, or your grade level. And often for marketing materials, we don't want anything too much above a grade 6, which means that your language has to be very plain. I will say that I work on a Mac, and I have Word, the latest version of Word for my Mac, and I can't use those readability statistics anymore on my Mac. It used to be that it was readily available on the PC, so if any of you use that now on your PC, can you let me know if it's still incorporated into the latest versions of Word for PC? I was really disappointed to see that they either never had it in the Mac version or they took it out. those readability statistics are a great way to kind of test your marketing material. And I realized when I was working in a university, of course, we got used to using big words and academic words for everything, even a form, that our marketing materials were written way above what they should have been in terms of their reading level. And when we started using this policy of using words that had 3 syllables or fewer, that really helped us out. Also, when you're writing your marketing materials, the idea of focusing on the benefits rather than the features. So what does this actually mean? Well, features tell you about the description of your program or the description of your school or the characteristics of it. So we put an example here for you, like if you were talking about your program and you said our program offers 40 hours of high quality instruction. That's a feature. So we're kind of describing the program. The benefits are much more important. It's actually asking, why should you care? There should have been a question mark there. And so what? Who really cares about what you're telling me if I'm your prospective client or student? And, sort of what's in it for you as my student? So this 40-hour program offers high quality instruction isn't really a benefit. A benefit might be you learn fundamentals of French language in our program in 3 weeks. You get all your basics, or by the end of our program, you can have a conversation. There's always a balance between not over-promising and making promises for programs that can't come true, right? There are some companies out there that sell language learning products that say, if you put if you put our tape on while you went to sleep, you'd wake up fluent. We don't want to make promises like that. You want to be honest about your program, but also focus on the what's in it for them. Okay. Oh, thanks very much, Cindy, for letting me know that the readability stats are in Word for PC for 2010. That's awesome. So you want to avoid describing your program and talking more about the benefits that are in it for people. Another way to look at it is features give information about programs, and benefits will tell people what the impact of that program will be on their life. So, for example, you will increase your proficiency. Okay, that's pretty true. We can't guarantee a score on a language test, but we can say you'll increase your proficiency. You will be immersed in a native language experience, right? You'll have the opportunity for informal learning experiences through staying with a homestay family, for example, and get to learn inside and outside of class, and sort of that's in the the impact that it has on people. And you learn to survive by using that language on a day-to-day basis. So when you're writing your marketing materials, definitely focus on the positive impact your program has on your students and on your learners. I found particularly with institutional programs, there's lots of talk about information, right? In the end, your learners don't really care about the information. They care about what's in it for them. And so when you're trying to tell them what's in it for them, it can be helpful to write in second person. So use the word you as much as possible in your marketing program, in your marketing materials. I've seen so many brochures that talk about the program, our program, the school. And it's not only a sterile way of writing, but it doesn't really appeal to the emotional side of the person that you're talking to. So in other words, talk to your prospective learners, not about your program, and address them using you as much as possible. And the other thing we can do is to use a lot of action verbs in your marketing material, short little action verbs, and I'll show you an example at the end of today's webinar, and the idea of engaging people to do something as part of your marketing with them. So, for example, the idea of talking about your program, you can say students will be taken on interesting excursions every Friday afternoon. That was actually lifted from a real brochure that was written at a university. Okay, so talking about the program, even though the students are there, and we changed it to look like this. Explore and discover local culture during weekly excursions with your classmates. So we started with 2 action verbs there, explore and discover. That sounds a lot more interesting than students will be taken. And we're talking to them directly. We don't say, you will explore and discover, because we're using the command forms of the verb there, right? But the idea is that, yeah, you, the student in our program, you're going to go and you're going to learn and explore and discover through these local excursions with your classmates. So there's an implication there that not only do you get to learn and explore, but you get to do it with through social interaction with your classmates as well. Yes, thank you, Pam. Death to the passive voice. Absolutely. I am amazed how often I see the passive voice in marketing material. It absolutely makes me crazy. So have a look at your brochure or your website and say, okay, are we using action verbs, and are we talking specifically and directly to our prospective learners? Okay. In your brochures and on your website, this is one piece that's often missing, and it's the call to action. So for example, what we might see on a brochure could be, for more information, phone number, email address. I've seen it. I've seen almost this exact thing on a brochure. Great, boring, ineffective. What's more effective? Register today. It's easy. You're just going to go to our website and we're going to guide you through the process step by step. The idea of register today, it calls people to do something. And if you've been following my webinars, then you'll see that at the end of every webinar, I have a call to action for you. So I wanted to model that as we go through and not just tell you about it, but show you about it. So think back to the other webinars if you've been participating today. In your marketing materials, do you have a call to action for people? I would encourage you to review your marketing materials and make sure that every piece has some kind of call to action. And this is not just used in marketing. We took it from the ancient Greeks, who used it in rhetoric and logic, discussions and persuasive arguments. That's where it really comes from. There's something in debate called Monroe's motivated sequence, which we will teach students when they're learning to speak persuasively, for example, or construct a persuasive presentation. Your marketing is often about persuading people to come to you and building their relationships with them, right? So we've got the action verb there. We have a call to action. We're making it easy for them. And it's register online is your very quick little way to say, come and do something today, for example. We want to make it easy for people to say yes to us. If it's not easy for them to say yes to us, then they might sit on the couch. They might not do anything. And it also creates this sense of relationship and energy with the other person, right? When you make it easy for them to say yes, you're kind of showing in an indirect way that you care about them, because it's about them. Ultimately, the relationship that you're creating with your students is about you showing that you care for them. Right? We know that in literacy programs and language programs, yes, funding and revenue generation may be a part of what we do, and we're also driven by the desire to help humans grow and learn, and that becomes part of our driving force in addition to the bottom line revenue. So show people you care. It's okay. Marketing materials don't have to be sterile, or they don't have to be information based. Make that connection with the people that you're working with. And so I promised you 20 to 30 minute webinars, and last week I went over. I didn't want to do that to you today. We talked a little bit about writing effective marketing copy and the features versus the benefits and the tips and tricks. We have a couple of minutes left, so I'd love to open the floor to questions and get your feedback and perspective and answer any questions that you might have. I promised you resources every single week that we get together. Last week I told you that I would upload this one, and I wanted to show you that I kept my promise to you. So this resource has to do with our program from last week and setting budgets and so forth. This is an Excel spreadsheet for you, and it allows you to track your revenues, and it would work either for a revenue generating language school, or in the case of, it may or may not work for a literacy program if generating revenue is not one of your goals, or even a private language school that is looking to make some profit as well. It tells you how to track your net monthly income and your quarterly totals for each of the past 3 years. So year 3 would be this year, and then if you had any goals over on the, they would go on the far right hand side. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and it's ready for you to upload. Frida, I just uploaded it today for you. So it's there and it's waiting for you under resources and templates. You should be able to download it right away. And the other thing I have for you today, it's already uploaded, is a quick marketing copy checklist. And it goes over all of the points that we had for today's program, including things like using the second person, addressing people with the word you, and using plain language. So it basically is a whole checklist of everything we did today. And there you go, you can download it now. If you haven't already picked up on it, there's my little call to action for you. And we've seen this slide at the end of every webinar. It's a simple little call to action. The other thing I would encourage you to do is start paying attention to marketing materials that you see, brochures, advertisements on television, even websites that will act as marketing tools in other people's websites to say, okay, how effective is this? Do I feel called to action? Do I feel that they are trying to create a connection with me, or are they just trying to pitch something and it's all about them, their product or their program or their service? If it's about the program, it's not about the person you're talking to. One or the other. So folks, I would love to connect with you on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And if you're enjoying these webinars, by the way, I'd love it if you tweet about them. And happy to share the information. Oh, I wanted to tell you as well with the resources, you don't have to put in your email address or anything like that. You just go to the site and download them. And they're just free for everybody to enjoy and use. The Excel spreadsheet is it's got formulas in there. You can take it and start using it right away. So I don't require any personal information in order for you to be able to access those. Just go ahead and enjoy them. Okay, so I wanted to answer Pam's question here. Do I have any tips for tracking marketing materials, finding out which ones generate calls, emails, etc.? That is a fantastic question. And I think it probably depends a little bit on what you're doing, and I would say having somebody in your organization responsible or assigning that as part of their job is an important piece as well. I think because marketing is sort of about developing relationships, and we know that the sell cycle for educational programs can be very long, it's not always an easy question to answer. You can do things like on your student evaluations or on your registration form, include a question, how did you hear about us? And sort of see what the response is. Very often I found in programs that the relationships created between students, so the word of mouth marketing that results from that is very powerful, and the more of that you can get, the better. And in terms of tracking it, yeah, it's great to try and get those statistics and understand that the complex nature of marketing, particularly a service-based program, is quite tricky because it will never be black and white as to where people found out about you. You will know, for example, though, if you put brochures in a stand somewhere. Some people are really against brochures and say they're very 20th century, and it depends a little bit on your program. But if you put them in a stand and 6 months later they're still there, it's probably not working for you. So be aware that the statistics that you gather around that may or may not reflect the true nature of the efficacy of your efforts, and also given the long time frame from the time when somebody starts thinking about making a change, taking a program, going abroad to take a language, and when they actually sort of put their money on the table to do that, can be a very long time frame. And though the initial impetus may come from one source, like a conversation with somebody or a conversation with a teacher or talking to a classmate, they may then go through, they may call you, they may get a brochure, they may go to your website, they may, watch a video about your school on YouTube, and it could be that they access information about your program from a number of different sources. Does that make sense, or does that help at all? Super. I'm going to stop the recording now and say thanks very much for being here, and I will look forward to spending next week with you as well.